Among the bovine, antelopes are probably the most confusing if we're talking about taxonomy. There are antelopes that are not exactly antelopes taxonomically speaking, but are called antelope in the common language. For example, kudu, sable antelope, oryx, etc. Even the true antelopes are confusing. There are springbok, blackbuck, gerenuk, and various species of gazelles which are not even classified in one genus. A lot of people often confuses different antelopes with each other. However, one antelope that is very iconic and easy to identify for most people is the saiga. But that requires people to know about the existence of saiga in the first place, which, quite surprisingly, not a lot of people do actually. So, let me bring up the question. What exactly is saiga? Like I hinted earlier, saiga is an antelope. That's why they are often called saiga antelope, just to make it clear, I guess. Saiga is classified in the genus Saiga, and currently, only one species is extant, or at least the one that is considered valid. Saiga tatarica. There are two subspecies of Saiga, the Russian Saiga, Saiga tatarica tatarica, and the Mongolian Saiga, Saiga tatarica mongolica. As far as I know, Saiga is what the locals call them, the Russian side I mean. Meanwhile, tatarica means from Tatar, taken from the Tatar Confederation or perhaps the region in general. Mongolica means from Mongol, which is quite obvious I suppose. The Mongolian Saiga are sometimes considered a distinct species by some. It was assigned the name Saiga mongolica by Banikov in 1946, but was then moved to Saiga tatarica. Sometimes, it is also considered by some to be a subspecies of Saiga borealis, which is a fossil saiga from the Crimea. The current general consensus is like I said earlier. It is classified as a subspecies within the only extant saiga species. Saiga were classified in the Saigini tribe, which is named after them of course. This tribe generally consists of saiga and pantelopes, aka Tibetan antelope. However, I would like to emphasize that this classification is actually somewhat controversial, or at least debatable. Recent phylogenetic analysis groups saiga together with other true antelopes in the Antelopini tribe. So yeah, saiga can mostly be found in Central Asia. The Russian saiga can also be found in southern Russia, especially in the past. In this image, the solid green color is the current Russian saiga distribution, while the solid red color is the current Mongolian saiga distribution. The whitish region around it is the historical distribution, aka their distribution in the past. And yes, they had undergone a massive population decline in the past, quite apparent if you look at this historical distribution. I'll talk about this later. First, let's talk about their morphology. Saigas are average size. They are around 60 to 80 centimeters tall and 100 to 140 centimeters long. The most striking feature of saiga is, of course, their big bloated nose, which can be classified as a proboscis, albeit a relatively short one. Their ears are not as prominent as other famous antelopes, which, if you didn't know this before, yes, they do have large ears compared to their face. That's not the case for saiga though. Saiga's horns are slightly curved, thick, and ringed. Only males have horns, females don't have them. Saigas have short tail, only around 6 to 12 centimeters. They have two types of coat depending on the season. Well, to be precise, summer coat and winter coat. Summer coat is yellowish or reddish color. Meanwhile, winter coat is grayish or whitish. There is basically no unique and easily distinguishable pattern on their coat, which, to be fair, you don't even need one to identify them. Their nose is an easy to observe diagnostic character after all. Well, that's the case for living individuals or specimens with intact soft tissues at least. You cannot see their nose if the specimen is just skeleton after all. You could still see that it has a big nasal aperture though. Combined with the horn, if it is a male specimen of course, that could be enough to identify them, especially if you know the origin of the specimen. Anyway, next, let's talk about their lifestyle and behavior. But before that, saiga can be found in grasslands, steppes, and even semi-deserts of Central Asia. They migrate south during winter and north during summer. They cover long distances. They can travel 120 kilometers daily when migrating, and of course, they can also swim across rivers to do so. They are also fast sprinters, reaching 80 kilometers per hour when escaping predators. Saigas are mostly grazers. Well, it's probably obvious since the vegetation in their habitat is mostly grasses. However, they can also eat shrubs and lichens if no grass is available. Herds are mostly composed of one dominant male and around 5 to 10 females. Sometimes herds can be larger, or several herds can converge near a water body to drink together, or to graze together. Oh, by the way, by dominant males, I mean, of course, male will initiate male-to-male combat like many other bovids, using their horns to fight each other. This male-to-male combat usually starts towards winter. Breeding occurs soon after that. Females will usually be gravid for about 5 months. Offsprings are mostly twins, but first-timers usually give birth to only one calf. Calves are precocial, meaning they can be active right after being born. Females reach sexual maturity at around 7 to 8 months old, while males mature later. Oh, by the way, let's talk about the nose. The nose can filter dust and small particles, especially useful for those who live in the semi-desert regions. It can also cool the air during breathing. During winter, it can also be used to warm inhaled air to protect their lungs from being damaged by cold air. So yeah, their bloated nose is crucial for their survival, not just for display. Speaking of survival, let's talk about their population. The Saiga experienced mass death multiple times in the mid-2010s, which is relatively recent. The current Saiga population mostly exists in Kazakhstan. In 2010, around 12,000 individuals were found dead. The cause is most likely pasteurellosis, which is an infectious disease that damages the lungs and intestines. In 2015, around 120,000 individuals were confirmed dead in Bedpakdala. Yes, 120,000. That's 80% of the population there. Not in the world though. There were approximately more than 800,000 individuals that exist back then. 120,000 is like 1/7 of the entire Saiga population in the world, which was a massive loss, of course. Saiga was considered critically endangered on multiple past assessments by the IUCN Red List. Good news is, the population is recovering and it is now considered near threatened. Still not on a safe level, of course, but it's quite something. I do want to remind you that the population is still considered largely depleted though. Not only that, considering the possibility of another sudden mass mortality event in the future, well, multiple one perhaps, the Saiga populations are definitely still in danger. Poaching is also a problem, since their horns are used in traditional Chinese medicine. Good news is, there are various conservation efforts to preserve their population. There is a dedicated network of researchers and conservationists called the Saiga Conservation Alliance, which had been formally active since 2006. They have their own website and social media, so if you are interested, go ahead and check them out. Or, even if you are not interested, just try checking it out anyway if you have the time. Maybe something will pique your interest. And yeah, that's Saiga. Definitely one of, if not the weirdest looking antelope, and one that is always at risk. Who knows what will happen to them in the future? Hope nothing bad, of course. But for now, let's just learn what is known. And that's all for now. Oh, by the way, I heard there are currently only 2 populations of captive Saiga, which are the one in Almaty Zoo and Askania Nova, so it's really difficult to see Saiga in person for most of us. Good thing that you can easily see them through the internet nowadays. Anyway, enjoy your day.